You probably saw the video this week of the murder in Portland. You had the competing protests going on, which is kind of a new thing. The protests pretty much have been surrounding Black Lives Matter, but now we got some Trump supporters showing up. And of course, the left says, oh, that's not protest. That is inciting violence. So we have this white guy. He is a Biden supporter, a Black Lives Matter supporter. He even had a tattoo, BLM, on his neck. Takes a gun, kills an unarmed Trump supporter. And Trump is being blamed for this now. It's pretty incredible logic when you think about it. And then Joe Biden comes out of his basement this week, his first official campaign stop after the convention. He gives a speech and says that, yep, the violence and all this craziness going on in the cities can be laid at the feet of Trump. And even further, he said it's going to get worse if we reelect Trump. Now, here's the deal with that. If that's true, that means all of this craziness going on is about the election in November, not about police brutality or systemic racism. It's just about getting Joe Biden elected. That's pretty tragic. So I think it's more true that he just stole the message from Black Lives Matter. Now, we don't know because Black Lives Matters have not come out and spoken to this and said what it's really about. So I'm waiting on that. As of this podcast, they've said nothing contrary to what Joe said. And listen, after the death of George Floyd, and again, there were two big issues, the police brutality and the systemic racism. And I got to tell you, I'm with them 100% on the police brutality. It's crazy what's going on, and changes need to be made. Personal example, I had a friend, actually, a white guy, the weakest white guy you've ever seen. He was a vice president of a bank several years ago. He committed fraud, moved money from some investment into more friendly accounts to him, let's say, and he was convicted in court, sentenced to several years in prison. He didn't go to jail right away. They let him go home. He continued to work. And so they could have just called him up when it was time to serve and said, hey, show up at this prison, noon, whatever. Here's what you bring. Have a friend bring you. He would have done that. Nope. Show up at midnight at his house. 8, 10 SWAT team members, fully armed, automatic weapons, safety off, knock down his door, wake him up in the middle of the night to carry on. What? Come on. That is unnecessary. Now, the systemic racism, I'm not with him on that one, okay? I just don't see the evidence. And when a white police officer shoots a black guy resisting arrest, that's not the definition of racism. Let me tell you what would be the definition. Let's take a small crime like drug possession. You show me in a local community where the courts are convicting people of that, and in every case a black guy gets a stiffer penalty. Hey, I'll hear that. But that's the kind of evidence I need to hear, and then we can discuss. But hey, I don't know. Maybe it is just about getting Joe Biden elected.